last year I was there, my first trip, fantastic. I happened to pick the right week. I went for the finish. So I had the privilege and the honour of standing on the podium when Neil pulled up there and when Duncan got there as well. So it was a real special moment. For those that follow the bucket list syndrome, I can tick that off. Not too many of us have had the honour of standing on that stage at the end when the car came up for its podium finish, which was really fantastic. So we probably timed it better than we could have ever planned it anyway. I think, look, you learn as you go, and it's always a good thing if you can align yourself with a couple of seasoned veterans that know their way around. So initially we did a lot of chasing from point A to point B, only to get there and find out we had missed the guys and then we were racing off to point C. But by the second or the third day we got ourselves sorted out. We got a lot of help from the press guys about where the best places to go from a spectator point of view were. They obviously try and keep you away because they're trying to get to vantage points to take photographs that are appropriate. But they do help, they helped us quite significantly as to where the better places were to go. So we did get a chance. It's hot out there, it's not for the faint-hearted, it's certainly not a luxury trip. You're going there to join the team. And I mean, if you go into those overnight stops and see the amount of work and effort that goes into maintaining these cars, never mind the respect that you have for the driver and the navigator, the respect for these teams that are working flat out, because their work only starts when the day's event is over. So they're quite often pulling out all-nighter to try and get these cars ready to get out the next day. I don't think you can really try and explain to people what it's all about. I mean, when we drove from the finish line into the city for the final podium finishes and the formalities, the streets were lined with hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, it was just incredible. And the closer you got into the main city, the busier it got. Every bridge was full of people. I mean, it was really just you sort of get quite overcome with the whole thing, but you can't describe it to people. You actually have to go through the experience, I think, to really appreciate it. Red Bull know how to party, and I know the crew that have been doing all the hard work. They had a very late night the night after everything was completed. They certainly seem to have enjoyed themselves. Look, I'm not technically competent to really talk about these things, to be fair, but from a layman perspective, I suppose is the right way to look at it. I think they've done an awful lot. I mean, last year they raced in cars that were basically 2013 spec already, so they had a bit of a disadvantage. And from listening to Glyn talk, I think they've applied a lot of the learnings that they had to improve the cars from that level. A lot of talk around suspension and those type of things, because it's really the fine tuning. I think the basic performance of the vehicles and the ability of the engine and its working components are fairly, I mean, it's a Toyota, so that goes without saying. But I think taking it to the next level and the real fine tuning is what differentiates probably the top 5 from the rest of the field. And I think, between Glyn and his team, you've got the experts doing the right work here. We think we've seen big sand dunes. You haven't seen stuff like that. We had the opportunity with our vehicles to go and do our own little bit of off-road exploration and try and get to the top of some of those dunes. And for the good 4x4 off-road drivers, they've got half a chance. For the amateur, you haven't got a hope. So it really is something different. And I think it's a great part of the world. I don't know it that well, but it's certainly a fantastic part of the world, the countryside. And when you go into these crossover points and spectator points to go and sit and watch what's going on, you can't believe you come over the top of a dune where you think you're the only vehicle in the desert, and suddenly there's 5,000 or 6,000 people sitting around waiting for vehicles to come through. So it's quite incredible. I mean, one of the experiences I found fascinating was these little 3-wheeler tuk-tuks. We think we're quite amazing that we can get out there with our proper 4x4 equipped vehicle, and here they are, 2 guys at the back and 1 guy driving this little 3-wheeler, and as it disappears in the sand, they all hop out, unstick it from the sand back in, and off they go again. And they've made it out there somehow. So I mean, the local fans support that beyond, it's just beyond belief. Well, look, unfortunately I won't be going. Like everything, we've got to give everybody a turn at this. I had my go last year. we've got a couple of customers that we'll be taking, and a couple of our guys will be going to it as well. So that's great, and I'm sure they will thoroughly enjoy the experience. It's, as I say, it's something that's a kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. From an expectation point of view, I'd love to see us back on the podium again, hopefully with both cars, but one doesn't want to put the mockers on anybody in this process, but I certainly know that the team have the ability to finish number one, but you do need a little bit of help along the way, so let's see what they can do.